15 years ago, my husband threw me out of the house door, calling me ugly and poor. He thought my existence ended there, but he had forgotten that a burnt coal later turns into a diamond. Today, when after 15 years he is standing at the door of my office asking for a job, he does not know that the one in front of whom he is bowing his head is that same ugly wife whom he had left on the street. Hello, I am Julia. Today, I am a successful businesswoman, but the foundation of my success was laid on that humiliating night 15 years ago. At that time, I was only 22 years old. I was married to a man named Mark. Mark was handsome, ambitious, but his heart was ugly. Our marriage happened due to family pressure. I was a bit overweight. I had acne scars on my face, and I came from a very ordinary family. Mark always thought that he was far above me. That night in California was very cold. Mark had returned from an office party. He was very drunk. As soon as he saw me, he looked at me with disgust. Julia, have you ever looked at your face in the mirror? How can I spend my life with a woman as ugly and disgusting as you? He shouted. Crying, I said, Mark, I am your wife. I left my home for you. But he didn't listen to me. He threw my suitcase outside. Wife? Have you seen what wives of people of my level look like? You look like a poor and ugly maid. Get out of my house and never show me your horrible face again. He pushed me and slammed the door. Outside, it was pouring heavily. I had only $10 in my pocket. I was alone on the streets of California. I didn't even have parents I could go to. That night, I spent sitting on a bench on the street. My eyes were swollen from crying, but that very night, a fire ignited in my heart. I made a decision. Now I will not cry in front of anyone. I will become so powerful that the world will see not my ugliness, but my success. I got a job cleaning in a small garage. I worked all day and at night washed dishes in a small, cheap cafe. My health was deteriorating, but my goal was clear. From my earnings, I saved a little money and started studying online coding and business management. Many nights I went hungry. Sometimes I felt that Mark was right, that I was nothing. But when I looked at my face in the mirror, I remembered those words, ugly and poor. Those words became my fuel. I also started taking care of my body. With healthy food and hard work, my confidence gradually increased. After 5 years of hard work, I got a job as an intern in a small software company. There, I didn't tell anyone who I was. I was just Julia, who worked 18 hours a day. I rented a small house in a corner of the city. I was no longer that old Julia. My personality was changing. I understood that beauty is not in the face, but in one's work and success. After 10 years, I had become the manager of that company, and in another 5 years, I established my own tech company, J-Realm Enterprises. Today, I am 37 years old. My office is in one of the tallest buildings in California. I wear expensive clothes. I have my own driver, and I am called California's top businesswoman. But Mark? I knew nothing about Mark. I thought he must be happy in his luxurious life. But this morning, my secretary gave me a file and said, "Ma'am, there's an interview for a new sales manager. He is waiting outside. His condition looks a bit fragile, but his experience is good." I opened the file. As soon as I saw the photo there, my heartbeat increased. It was none other than Mark. After 15 years, Mark was coming in front of me to beg for a job, but he did not know that I myself am the owner of this company. I took a deep breath and turned my chair toward the window. Outside, the California sky was clear, but in my mind, that torrential rain from 15 years ago and Mark's harsh voice were echoing. "Send him in," I calmly instructed the secretary. The door opened. The sound of shoes came closer to me. "Hello, ma'am. I'm Mark, for the position of sales manager." There was no arrogance like before in his voice, rather the helplessness of a tired and defeated man. I slowly turned my chair. As soon as Mark saw me, the file in his hand fell to the floor. The color drained from his face. His lips began to tremble. Julia? You?" he said, stammering. I smiled, but there was no love in that smile. "Hello, Mark. It's been a long time, hasn't it? 15 years, 2 months, and 10 days. You still remember this ugly face of mine? I'm quite surprised." Mark's gaze dropped to the floor. He couldn't even stand properly. In 15 years, time had changed a lot. Mark's hair had turned gray, his cheeks were wrinkled, and his suit was old and worn out in places. "Julia, I didn't know this was your company. Please forgive me," he said in a low voice. "My business collapsed. My arrogance brought me to the streets. My last wife took all my property and went away with someone else. I now live in a small room." I got up from my chair and slowly went closer to him. With every step I took, he was becoming more and more embarrassed. "Mark, I remember that night you had thrown me out onto the street, calling me a beggar. You had said that I was not of your level. Look, today, you are standing in front of that same beggar, asking for a job," I said, while looking into his eyes. "I know I am guilty, Julia. Give me one chance. I really need this job. I am hungry," he said, crying and folding his hands in front of me. For a moment, I felt pity, but I also remembered those 10 years of struggle, those nights when I slept hungry on the streets, those days when people mocked my poverty. "Mark," I said, "do you think this job is for your qualification? To get a job in my company, not only experience, but also a clean heart and the ability to respect others is required, which you did not have 15 years ago, and perhaps you still do not have today." Mark lifted his head and looked at me. "So you will not give me the job?" "The reason I am not giving you the job is not my personal revenge," I clarified. "A person like you, who behaves based on people's face and money, can never lead my team. You are unfit for my company." I called my secretary and said, "Please see Mr. Mark out, and while he is leaving, tell him one thing. Beauty is not in the face, it is in a person's character." Mark quietly walked out. As he was leaving, I took a deep breath. Today I felt that the burden I had been carrying for 15 years was finally lifted. My revenge was not to bring him to the streets. My revenge was to become so successful that he would realize his mistake. Today, sitting in this tall building in California, I do not consider myself lucky. Rather, I feel proud of myself. Because no one made me. It was my pain and humiliation that refined me. The lesson I learned: do not make someone's insult your weakness. Turn it into the ladder of your success. Because the wheel of time turns, and when it turns, yesterday's master can become today's servant, and yesterday's humiliated person can become today's winner.